Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Couch Sessions. Very excited to be back in the studio. And again, I'm excited because I have another amazing, awesome, powerful, beautiful guest, Miss Elizabeth Powell. Say hi, Elizabeth.
Hey.
I'm so glad that you are here. Um, I am really excited. I'm really
I'm
excited.
excited too. I've been
Yes.
waiting for this.
Yes. Yeah. This is I I'm just gonna get started because I don't even have the words. Yeah, I don't even have the words, but Elizabeth and I met over the internet. I That seems to be my life over the last couple years.
Yeah,
Um
me too.
I meet people over the internet and connect with them. And Elizabeth is just an amazing person. And we had an amazing, very deep, went real deep first
Hmm.
conversation. And it was just like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
this is good. This is really good. So I'm gonna I'm gonna read you her bio, and we are gonna get started. Um, Elizabeth is her business is called Be the Light Wellness.
Mhm.
Um, she is the owner and she is also a fellow podcaster. She's the host of Spiritual Sovereign Sister podcast. I think that's how I found you, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly.
Yep.
Um, she has rebuilt her life after trauma through deep spiritual work, and she helps women reclaim their clarity, power, and inner peace through Akashic record readings, past life work, and divine feminine Reiki. She guides empathic women into healing that goes beyond surface level spirituality. Mhm.
Mhm.
She also she is also the leader and founder of Light Workers Sisterhood. It is a space for women who are ready for real sisterhood, intuition development, and embodied spiritual growth. In Elizabeth's free time, she enjoys painting, spending time with her dog, Lillian, her husband, and she also enjoys reading. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay. So, yeah, I got to talk about like your podcast. I kind of don't want to like dive into that right away, but I'm
Just you
just
just go with
I'm just
whatever
kind
you
of
want to
like
do with
um but I remember on your podcast, and I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to say let's put it kind of right on the shelf, right on the edge, like it's about to
it.
fall off, and then we're
Okay.
going to come back and pick it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. But the your podcast, you were talking about something that's really important. And you were talking about something that's really important, especially in the healing arts and healer space community. And
Mhm.
it's something that I myself have experienced. Um, and as we get deeper into the conversation, y'all, I know I just threw out a big teaser and you're like, wait a minute, now you're going to start it and then you're going to make us wait. Yes, I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to make you
That's how
wait.
this works. That's called strategy.
Yes, I'm going to make you wait. Trust me. It's like, it's the epic finish. Trust me. It's going to be this good ride along, right? This good ride along. Okay. So, Elizabeth, I would love for you to talk about how you began to do the work that you do.
Okay. Yeah. So I've had my business now for about 7 years.
Hmm.
And leading up to that, it was right around COVID.
Hmm.
Okay, so had lots of time, had a lot of
Yes,
downtime.
God.
And
Hmm.
and at that time, I actually was a fitness instructor. I was teaching Zumba and I was getting into yoga.
Hmm.
And uh, I started with yoga and I started doing like a lot of hands-on adjustments for people, and I started to realize that I always had intuitive gifts, but I
Hmm.
grew up in a very Christian, religious, authoritative kind of home and didn't have a lot of like an outlet.
Hmm.
to understand that. So whenever I started teaching yoga and I started touching people, all of a sudden I started getting like these intuitive hits, or started absorbing
Mm-hmm.
feelings and emotions and things like that. And I knew that there was something there, but I couldn't explain it. And then I found out about Reiki,
Mm-hmm.
and there was where I lived at the time, there was nobody that did Reiki, and so it took me finding somebody 3 hours away from me to go to a session,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really profound. Um, and she quickly became my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me later, she was going to teach a class, and a training class, and she said, you're really sensitive to energy. I think that you would be good at this. And once I understood that I was not joining a cult, um, I said yes to it. And I'm
Listen,
really glad that I
that
did.
part, because you're like, wait a minute. I'm not trying to sell my soul. I done been down this road. Let me
No,
just
no.
make sure.
That's right. Then I got a past life of that. I'm good. I don't want to do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
But, so I said yes to Reiki, and I learned, and I offered it to clients. And I mean, it was immediate. It was like people were waiting for me to
Mm-hmm.
say yes to this and learn that. And then at the same time as I was doing work with clients, I was also healing myself,
Yes.
and started really focusing on a, you know, a trauma. I have a lot of different kind of complex traumas,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and stuff like that. But one particular one that I started with was sexual abuse
Mm-hmm.
from whenever I was between the ages of 13 into about 14 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started healing from that, and Reiki and past life regressions
Mm-hmm.
also at that time was helping me to really explore how I felt
Mm-hmm.
about everything, and I could do the shadow work and all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then I kind of got to a point where it was like, okay, I I've done a lot of work around this for a couple years now, and I wanted to go deeper.
Absolutely.
And that's whenever I found the Akashic Records. And
Mm-hmm.
the Akashic Records helps you to see the bigger picture of why things like that happen, and helps you realize like it's not for nothing, that nothing is wasted if you'll take the time to ask questions and to be curious about
Mm-hmm.
those things. And it got me to the point where even the little places of anger and
Mm-hmm.
hatred that I felt for that person,
Mm-hmm.
that I was even able to let that go and come into a place of gratitude with it. And so I was healing myself at the same time as helping other people heal, and and I've been doing it ever since, and just kind of been expanding upon that.
I love that. I love how you said you were doing work within yourself. And
Yeah.
isn't it interesting how spirit will, okay, now you're going to take it out and you're going to do it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I will say this, and speaking for myself, and you mentioned like the authoritative, you know, whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Um, it's I think the thing that was so drilled into me was you can't help people until you heal yourself.
Yes. Yes. Like there has to be some kind of perfection achieved.
Correct. And here's the
Yeah.
thing, it ain't gonna happen.
Lord, no, no, and I think that that comes from, it comes from this place of judgment
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
projection from other people that they have on
Yes.
themselves, and then they use that as a, okay, this is a rule and a standard that
Mhm.
they expect you to abide by,
Yes, you are
and it's not
absolutely right.
true.
It is not true, and it is something that gets reinforced and people believe it and they are walking around you said it was like as soon as you got trained in the Reiki and you opened yourself up to doing it, it was like people were waiting on you.
Mm-hmm.
People
Absolutely. Yeah.
people were waiting on you, and you took that out and you're like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and now I want to go deeper and I want to go into the Akashic records and this, that, and the third. And so I think it's beautiful that as you're healing, you're getting you're help healing the world too.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so I know that you and I have talked about Reiki, and we have that in common. And you've actually
Mm-hmm.
done a form of Reiki I've not done. I think it was the Holy Fire
Yeah. The
Reiki.
Holy Father.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You haven't done. I
Korean.
haven't done that, but we have that in common. And then the Akashic records. You mentioned yoga, and I think you do more yoga teaching now. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So with all of that, that nice little cocktail of
Yeah.
things, what has been like for you in that? Have you been able to discover deeper revelations about yourself, getting deeply introspective, being able to sit with something and not absorb it, but just kind of observe it and then kind of ask questions? I kind of want to know your process.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so the yoga piece for me personally is whenever I've done the work or whenever I've had those intuitive hits and messages come through from my Akashic guides, there is an element of integration. And sometimes the very thing that helps with that is to move the body, to kind of get somatically in the body. And yoga can help with that.
Hmm.
Um, and then, honestly, the process for me is I'm always asking why. I'm sure that it's funny because I have a certain dialogue between me and my guides. I'm that child that's always going, well, why? Well, why? you know,
There's nothing wrong
and
with that.
they have no problem telling me why.
Right. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Mm-mm.
And so the interesting thing that they did help me with, and to help my energy, so that I'm not getting constantly burnt out
Mm-hmm.
with it, is I started following like the energies of the days of the week.
Mm.
So like on Mondays, all of us naturally are like, God, we don't want to do nothing on Monday, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it's because technically it is more of an introspective day.
Mm-hmm.
It follows along with the energies of the moon, so it's going to be more introspective. And what's interesting is a lot of my time that I will go into my Akashic records is going to be on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, with whatever I've asked, maybe I don't get an answer right then.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do. But if I don't, it's like the answers will kind of trickle in throughout the week,
Mm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, just kind of all that combined, the yoga keeps me grounded and helps me move the body. And then on Mondays, especially, I'll go into my Akashic records. And what I do receive, it's like, okay, let me work on that a little bit and continue to dive deep into whatever I've received.
Mm-hmm.
So, same thing with the podcast. Because people ask me all the time, they're like, how do you get all this creative, hits of what to talk about or what to post about and things like that? And it's because I do that.
Mm.
Like a lot of what I talk about or have done the inner work on myself, that's where that comes from,
I love
that
that.
inspiration.
I love that. And I love that you, it's like you take this intentional, restful time to get still and to get quiet and to get clarity and direction on the things that you're supposed to do, the topics, because you do. I'd be like, girl, I'd be looking on your stories and stuff, and I'd be like, wow, okay. And then the dates and everything. And I think that is a wonderful practice that you have cultivated for yourself. And you teach about Akashic Records, you do training on it. So you're actually helping other individuals to capture that same practice.
Yeah. It really was a game changer. I mean, I love Reiki, and that's all I used to do was
Hmm.
just a Reiki practice with other
Hmm.
people. But the Akashic Records really was a game changer because it's not just about working with your guides. These are guides that helped you plan out your life.
Mm.
They knew that the very moments that you're experiencing right now was a possibility.
Hmm.
And not only that, you're working with your higher self. So
Mm.
you're returning to the essence of who you are and
Yes.
working in coherence with that versus just letting life happen to you.
Mm. That part.
And yeah, yeah,
Right.
because I was like, God, like this thing called life, man, is a bitch. It's hard.
Right.
And I sure do need some help. So,
Right.
and to find that
Hmm.
with something that is, I mean, this with guides and support that know me intimately has
Yes.
really changed the game. Yeah.
So I want to ask a kind of a pivot question,
Mm-hmm.
because there are going to be people who watch this episode or listen to this, and
Mm-hmm.
I immediately thought about, well, people hearing this and they go, "Gods, what do you mean, gods?" And consulting gods. Like, I've heard that, but I might have grown up hearing that that's like talking to the devil,
Right.
or I've heard I've heard that before because my grandma or my aunt would say that, and
Mm-hmm.
I never fully understood what she meant. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So your guides, particularly from the perspective of the Akashic Records, you have three different types of guides. You have a whole team, not just one or two. And they're broken up into different categories. So you have ascended masters. Those are going to be the guides that you planned out your life with. Okay. And then you have teachers.
Hmm.
And those are going to be ones that you recognize mostly. That's going to be
Hmm.
like Jesus Christ or Buddha or Mary
Hmm.
Magdalene. Angels can be
Hmm.
within that. And then you have loved ones. Those are going to be past loved ones, but it's not just family. Sometimes it could be a friend
Hmm.
or a teacher in your life that you really resonated to and
Okay.
decided to be in your records. But collectively, the guides together are beings that love you. Like you, when you as a soul decided, like, hey, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do this.
Hmm.
You didn't have to do it alone,
Hmm.
you know, and that's who they are. And I know that that kind of sounds vague, but it's one of those concepts where no, like I can't like bring a guide on to the Zoom call and say this is an example. You
Right.
can't see or touch it, but it's one of those things too where it's like you know if if you did grow up in a Christian household, because I get it, like I grew up in that too. I'm the preacher's kid, so I understand what it means to come out of that and talk about this concept of guides. And to me, it was similar to like the Holy Spirit,
Hmm. Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, and because that's essentially the same thing.
Hmm.
It's that spirit of God and Christ,
Hmm.
if that's your belief,
Hmm.
that's with you
Hmm.
and that you can talk to and that you can lean upon. And I really loved the concept of guides because I thought, oh my gosh, like there's more than one.
Yes, there
I get
is.
more than just one. That's great,
Yes.
you know.
I love that it's I love how you described it and how you broke it down as far as, teachers and gods and loved ones. And just to piggyback on that, like, you know, I wrote a book recently, and
Mhm.
people ask me, how did you write it? And I said, I wrote it intuitively. And that
Yep.
came from me sitting down in my computer, just asking, what am I supposed to write today?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I didn't have to ask. Sometimes I woke up in the morning and I knew what I was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to write that day. And I also, experienced, connecting with family members who've crossed over and
Yep.
getting assistance in that way of writing the book as well. And some people were like, intuitive, what do you intuitive?
Yep.
I'm like, you have intuition. I mean, you could be driving down the road and you got a choice between Circle K and Sitco or Sitgo. Okay,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
got a choice. You got Sitgo. I keep calling it Sitco. Sitgo on your right, and you got Circle K on your left. And something on the inside of you whispers, "I want you to go to Circle K."
Yep.
It's as simple as that. Now,
Absolutely.
whether or not you choose to listen to it, that's another episode. So, but it's simple as that. Okay, of just being open. Okay, where do I need to go get gas today?
Mm-hmm.
And some people call it being woo woo. Okay, that's fine. You can call it that. You can call it that. Or, like even in Reiki, I have said to a client before, I'm like, do you want to, is there a certain divine being that you
Mm-hmm.
ascribe to? And I've had people say Jesus, and I'm like, okay, fine. Do you want to invite Jesus to come into your session today?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's fine. It's all, we're all being divinely led
Mm-hmm.
and guided. And I think it's so cool because I always have the statement, the universe has my back, the universe has your back.
That's
This is
right.
part of that. This is part of that, what you're discussing. Okay. So that was kind of a segue into, because I was like, I want her to talk about these guys. I want her to talk about it because people need to hear about it. Um, in You said the Akashic Guides was like the game changer for
Yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you talked about it just a little bit, but has there been, like, I'm sure there continues to be a lot, but has there been something that you can remember that was like a profound moment?
Oh gosh. Whew. Um, there's been lots.
Okay.
The two biggest ones is the first one I'll talk about is my relationship with my husband.
Mm, okay.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I think if women were more honest about this, about spouses, we would have a lot different relationships with each other.
Mhm.
Um, it's not been easy,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
and when you're in relationships with people and you love them and you want it to work and you're putting a lot of your time and your energy into it, sometimes the very thing that is going to be what changes it for you is a different perspective.
Girl.
I mean, that's sometimes that's all you got.
I wish I had soundboards with sound effects.
And sometimes your guides are going to give you some tough love and call you out on your shit too.
Whew.
You know,
Yeah.
and that can be hard to hear. And it's not that they're going to deny you, like if somebody if in your relationships like, hey, something happened and that wasn't good either, like maybe
Mhm.
they shouldn't have said this or that, but they're going to make you look at your stuff too
Mhm.
and how you contributed to it. And it really has helped me step out of two things in my relationship. It's helped me step out of victimization,
Mhm.
and it's helped me to step out of martyrdom.
Oof.
And that's hard. As
Yeah.
a woman who is a people pleaser, a recovering people pleaser, that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's possible, and it's nice to have that support.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
The other profound moment was whenever I was healing from sexual abuse. And I just, again, talk about perspective. I literally just, I could not see it any other way. You know, it's that whole why, but why? Why would somebody do that? And finally, one day I was just so fed up. And I was fed up because I would think about that time and I would spiral again.
Mm,
And I thought, God, I've done all this work. When does it
right.
stop? You know? And finally, I went in and I asked the right why question. And it was, why would my soul choose to experience sexual abuse? Not because I'm blaming myself, not because I want to take that on, but there's got to be some reason as to why. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what's the lesson here?
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus Christ is one of my guides in
Mm-hmm.
my Akashic Records, and he came to me and he said, "It's time for you to see what you've been afraid to look at."
Mm.
And I'm gonna cry whenever I say this because it still gets me.
And crying is allowed on this show.
Okay, good, good. Um, and I talk about this a little bit on my podcast too. Coming up is about Christ consciousness because that's
Yes.
exactly what this is.
Yes.
But he had me go back to a particular moment
Mm-hmm.
that I remembered from that experience, and I could see my abuser
Mm-hmm.
standing there. And then the more I focused on him, I could start to see this very scary looking entity that was standing next to him. And Jesus guided me to do something I never thought to do. He said, we're actually going to go inside of this entity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Jesus, I love you, but you've lost your mind. Like, well, I'm a Christian girl, good old Christian girl. We
Mm-hmm.
don't go towards those kinds of
Right,
things.
right, right,
And
right.
he was like, no. He's like, this is what you're afraid to see. You've asked this question of how do you let this go? So I went in, and inside of this thing was the abuser's inner child.
Mm,
And he was sitting there and he was crying and suffering.
mm.
And that I'm pretty empathic, and that didn't move me.
Okay.
And then I went up to his inner child and I said, I'm Elizabeth, and you know I want to talk to you. And he said, I know who you are. And not a day goes by that I don't think about what I did to you.
Mm,
And you know what? That still didn't move me to forgive, even though now I see that he's suffering in some way, shape, or form,
mm-hmm.
and that there was a mission. There's and it admitting what you did in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was confused, and I asked Jesus, and I said, I thought this was supposed to help me
Right.
let it go, and it ain't. And he said to me, because you don't care about seeing somebody suffer. You don't care about an apology. You don't need those things. And he said, you can ask him anything you want to. And I asked his inner child, I said, what did you want me to know?
Mm,
And he said, you think that you don't have the love and support from your family that you need. And that might be true. He said, but I truly had nothing.
mm,
I didn't even get a chance.
mm.
And that was the moment that I let it go. because not that I pitied him or that he had it worse than me, but I saw myself in him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I know intimately that craving that somebody would just see my suffering or
Mm-hmm.
my potential and just give me a chance.
Mm-mm.
And I think that that's what I was afraid to see. I think I was afraid to see myself
Yeah.
in this person, even though no, I would never do what he did, but the struggle was the same.
Yeah. That is that's a really revelatory experience.
Yeah, that was really
And
big.
yeah, and it sounds like there was like a major release for you when you experienced that. And something else that you said about, when you learned about the Akashic Records, it forced you to begin to see yourself. And sometimes that was hard to see.
Yeah.
And I think even outside of that, we have behaviors, thought patterns, things, how we react to things, and we have been operating in those energies for so long. It's hard to see until there's a mirror, and like
Yeah.
you're forced to see it, and it's not to shame you, guilt you, or anything,
Yeah.
but it's tapping into that Christ consciousness. And in order to do that, sometimes it's a little painful. Some things that you
Yeah.
have to learn. I
Yeah.
call it a spiritual little whooping.
Yes. Yep. I love that.
It's
Yes.
a spiritual whooping. Um, and it don't feel good, but it's loving. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's bringing you into your higher self and
Yeah.
walking in a level of awareness where you can stop absorbing or manifesting these same things and
Hmm.
change the trajectory of how you navigate these things moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had seen prior to that multiple past lives and done that kind of work where I had seen me and the same person, that same soul in prior lives where we were doing the same thing,
Mhm.
you know, to different degrees, but it was the
Mhm.
same thing. And I thought, why do we keep doing this?
Yeah.
Clearly, there's a soul contract. Why do I want to keep trying to do this over again? And and here's an example of that victim mentality. To me, I go in asking my Akashic Records, okay, if we've got a soul contract, why is he not learning his lessons if he keeps doing it? And my
Mm.
guides were very quick to say, you don't need to worry about him. You need to worry about how are you keeping up with your end of the contract
Mhm.
and what are you supposed to be learning. And I realized that part of it was that Christ consciousness and not to forgive him, but to see how it steps me into my purpose. Because if I'd have never went through that,
Mhm.
then I wouldn't be sitting here today doing what I do,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have gave me the passion behind it.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. I want to tell you, thank you for your bravery and sharing that and being vulnerable and sharing it too. I always tell people it's allowed. You can cry, please do, because this is what this is about. It's just real talk, you know. Okay, I'm gonna pivot because of time, and
Okay.
I'm gonna come back to where we started.
Yes. Yes.
um, you, I cannot remember the title of that episode, but it's so funny how like you get led to something and it's right on time, like right on time, because I had been pondering the very thing you were talking about, and
Mhm.
the episode you were talking about the
Yeah.
the mean girl vibe in the spiritual community, and I want you to talk a little bit about it, and then I will just chime in.
Okay. That episode was about covert mean girl tactics
Mm, mm-hmm.
in spiritual spaces. And and there's this, for some reason there's like this idea that people will, like outside people who are, I guess, not healers, but it's like they look at the healing space and they hear what's on the surface. They hear what's being said
Mm-hmm.
and it all sounds great. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that some people are not legitimate
Mm-hmm.
and say what they mean. But then they don't recognize and realize how just because somebody's a healer doesn't mean that we got it all together
Say that
and that,
again, because the people in the
yeah.
back, I don't think they heard you.
Yeah. Like, like just because they're a healer don't mean they have it all together and that they have done enough of the inner work to say to themselves, okay, was that was that behavior that was within integrity.
Mm-hmm.
It's still that it's that unspoken popularity contest in
Yes.
some ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unspoken popularity contest. Uh, I have seen that, and I have seen like ridiculous gatekeeping.
Oh God, yeah. It that's what pisses me off, to be quite honest with you. It's, and the gatekeeping happens in different ways.
It does.
You have that one girl that has established herself at the top, and she gets to pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
Who, how can I? Who's gonna benefit me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll bring you up on my pedestal and help you with your business.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, or it's that gatekeeping of, you have a healer who wants to teach a modality, but then they're so worried about scarcity and one of their students becoming competition within the market that they'll lie to them
Mm-hmm.
about how to do certain things, and then
Mm-hmm.
the person's wondering why it doesn't work for them the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unbelievable that
Mm-hmm.
we have people who say, "Oh, I care about helping people," and then they turn around and they treat other healers like
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say it like it is. They treat them like shit and then wonder and act like we're the other person's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
girl that's calling them out on it is the problem. And it's like, you can't sit there and not take responsibility for your part of how you've treated somebody and they get mad that they react.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mm-mm.
It's unnecessary, and I we discussed a tad bit of this back when we touched on it just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
um, on a panel that I was on for critical mass, because we were both involved with critical mass.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying they will promise you heaven and earth,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes like this, okay?
Oh, yeah.
There's no integration piece of it. There is just, I'm gonna take your money and I'm gonna give you this, and you go on and do your thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that, it is not fair to the person investing their time or their money.
That's right.
And the integration piece is like key.
Oh, absolutely.
It is like key. And I'm not sitting here saying this because I got it all together. I love that you said that earlier. Okay. Um, and what I mean by that is we're all, you learned a modality and you learned about yourself in the modality. That was the integrative piece of you
Yeah.
learning the modality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I
Yeah.
learned Reiki. I didn't perform Reiki on anybody for almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I embodied it. I learned it. I had gotten to a master's level, but I still wasn't doing it on people.
Yeah.
There was an integrative piece that I had to become familiar with, what I was feeling, what I was hearing, what I was seeing, and the colors and all this
Yeah.
different stuff. Part of it, and still trying to get my shit together in the midst of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the part of that is the mean girl doesn't need to come in the room if you've done the integrative work.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's been. I'll just be honest with you. Like there wasn't a lot of other healers in the area where I was prior to me moving,
Mhm.
to where I didn't really experience it until I moved here, where there was such a big um, demographic
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
healers.
Mhm.
And then you had some where, okay, great, they're better at networking. And so they've built themselves up.
Mhm.
And then it becomes this weird, like, well, we need to go audition for this girl. And then you might be chosen.
Mhm.
Or you have the other girls that sees what you're doing
Mhm.
and wants to be a part of it, so they pretend to befriend you so that they get in, and then they drop you whenever you're done.
Mhm.
And it's like, when does this stop being about energetic economics and
Mhm.
this contractual BS,
Mhm.
and you actually want to know me,
Mhm.
and we can work together and make something real,
Mhm.
versus you trying to leapfrog over me,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes.
And it is a scarcity thing. It is a scarcity and competition thing, but there's some kind of underlying, there's like this, what's the word, it is manipulative, but it's sort of this undercurrent of maliciousness
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
it, you know and that's the problem,
Mhm.
really. Like, I get that people make mistakes, or maybe we don't recognize, everybody's at a different level,
Mhm.
you know but there's some kind of intentional insidiousness about it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's maliciousness. There is an intention, and I'm gonna go out and go out on. I'm not going on a limb because it's not a limb, but I'm gonna just say this:
Oh,
there's karmic energy attached to that. That
oh, mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
you don't. I don't know. I guess because I've just observed enough.
yeah,
I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
but it's unnecessary. Um,
yeah,
we are all, if you are truly, if these things have had a truly profound effect on your life, and when I say these things, these modalities and different things, realizing that, okay, I think when you and I first talked, I'm like, I am all about referring people. I might
yeah,
meet a client and I might be like, I think that you would be better paired off with Elizabeth. Um,
right,
because I believe you would be better paired off with her because I feel like because you've expressed an interest with wanting to know this, that, and the third, she teaches the Akashic Records. I really
right,
think that you need to consider going with her.
yeah,
Um, and I think that there is uh, humility is really, really important. It's enough individuals walking around this area, this planet. There's enough people who are being awakened to these modalities that, you know, we don't have to chomp off the bit and like, do these unnecessary behaviors and say unnecessary things. Because I remember in your podcast, the young lady like disrespected you in the midst of a class, like said something unnecessary in the midst of a class in front of people, and then blamed her spirit guides as to
yeah,
why she manifested that behavior. Be careful.
yeah, exactly,
It's
absolutely,
it's not worth all that. And I you know it's just not. I'm because I can feel myself going, just don't. It's just not worth that. And we're all business owners. We're all doing our part in the healing arts and giving people information. But ultimately, I think our ultimate goal is to teach people how to eventually access this themselves
Yeah,
and begin to replicate people.
absolutely.
Okay. And
Yeah, because as a practitioner, you don't want your clients to be dependent upon you
exactly. Exactly.
because there's a time. I mean, looking at soul contracts, there's a time whenever sometimes it's complete.
Hmm.
Like what you've learned is done, and it's time for you to embody it yourself and or
Yes.
move on to the next thing, and that's okay. And you
Yes.
can still have a relationship and friendship with people, but that's what healers are for
Yes. That's what
and
healers are
teachers are
for.
for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being in a space of learning from each other, being humble enough to
Yeah.
learn something that you didn't learn from another healer and vice versa. I think
Hmm.
collaboration is a great thing,
Yeah.
and you talk about scarcity. If that's not present, then collaboration can really, really be beneficial, you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, there's a lot there. It got me to thinking too in the way of like, I've done hair for a long time and I have seen that same thing in the salon over the years. And it's if you are if you are truly secure in what you do, you don't have to bulldoze somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
as a
have
matter
to
of
do
fact,
it.
you want to help somebody else
Mhm.
because you know what that struggle's like,
Mhm.
you know?
Exactly. 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 Um we have run out of time almost.
Okay.
And I'm like, I feel like you're going to be back. You're going to be back because there's more.
I hope so.
There's more.
I've
I'm like,
enjoyed this.
I feel like we just scratched the surface just a
I
little bit.
know. I do. I feel like we have too.
Yes, just a little bit. But I want to tell you, thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to tell you, thank you for who you are and the presence that you carry in the healing arts community, the work that you are doing. You inspire me. Thank you for being bold and getting out here and saying, yo, this is some bullshit.
Thank you.
Yes,
I appreciate that
yes,
because
being
not everybody
bold.
likes that.
No, no, not everybody does, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And being also just somebody who, for myself, where I was noticing things and beginning to see it, and being a source of confirmation, like right at the right time. And I'm very grateful to you. And if there
I'm
was one,
grateful for you too for
oh,
that because again, me being new in an area and seeing it, and it makes you think, am I crazy? And then to have you like validate that to me, where it's like, no, you're not. Like
hmm,
you're seeing it for what it is, and
hmm,
you're not by yourself in that. So
no,
I really appreciate that,
you are
and you
not.
inspire me as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Um, if there was one quick thing that you could say quickly to encourage somebody who's on a journey like yours, what advice
Mm.
would you give them?
Oh, here we go. Remember who the fuck you are. You are that bitch, and you
Boop, boop,
remember
boop,
it.
boop. Done. Mic drop. Did you hear that?
Sorry,
Right.
I don't know if we could say that on
Yes, you
podcast. You're going to get
can.
an explicit rating. I usually get explicit ratings on mine, so sorry about
That's
that.
okay. This one will be marked, but it's the truth. It is the
Yeah,
truth. It is the truth. Be who the fuck you are
that's right.
and show up as yourself and don't shrink yourself. I think we
Yeah,
spend so much time shrinking ourselves to fit into somebody else's
yeah,
space, and it's no, you taking up space too. Take up your space.
that's right.
Take up your
That's right.
space. All right, y'all. Miss Elizabeth is everywhere on social media. I will be tagging all of her social media in this episode. I highly, 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 highly encourage you to check out her podcast, Spiritual Sovereign Sister. You won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed. There's so much rich, deep information. And if you want to take it a step further, check out her website and schedule a time to meet with her because it's going to be worth it. And she's the real deal. And I'm just so grateful.
I'm
I'm just
grateful
so
to you
grateful.
too.
Yes, ma'am. All right, guys, we will be back with another episode of Couch Sessions soon. And do not forget, your life has purpose. You are on this planet for a reason. People need to know that you are here, and more importantly, they need to hear from you. See you guys soon.